big data is to implement fact-based decision making culture. So it means that you need to implement big data in order to gain a better competitive advantage through your company, to your business. So we will check these things in the section 2. Section 3, we will talk about business processes. So the main idea when you do big data, you just want to be sure that all of your project are integrated into all of your organization, all of your company. So we do that by creating better business processes. So we'll define what it is, and we will see in that section. And section 3, we will talk about managing big data culture. So create a sense of urgency. So doing big data is important. How do we integrate internal processes in order that we can manage big data culture correctly afterwards? So it's not about selecting, developing, evaluating the right skilled team members by doing big data in some sense. So we will talk about big data evolution and most of all importance and definition. So big data is more about, like we say, unstructured data. So when we call about unstructured data, it's all of the data that comes from a variety of different data sources. That could be text files, videos files, web blogs analysis, a lot of different type of data. So the idea of big data is that it's not just about volume. The word big data, I think it's not appropriate. I think that that the bigger, the messier. That when you have a lot of data, it's tougher to take decisions. So size isn't important. I think that it's what you do with your data that would create something out of your business. The idea is to determine relevant factors, to exclude irrelevant information. So when you have a lot of data, it sometimes it's making sense out of the messy data that you have. So a lot of data are not useful, but some are useful. So you will need to understand that giving the right goal by analyzing the data is an important fact in big data. As well, you'll see that you have unstructured data in big data, and you have some what we call structured data in big data as well. So structured data are data that are almost ready to analyze. So structured data are transactional data. So what about analyzing your customers' transaction data if you are an operator? I think that we have a lot of operators into this webinar. So analyzing the signals out of your customers into your data sets are important. So as you see, I will use a lot of business analytics reference when we talk about big data. So I think that a lot of companies right now do not correctly analyze their transactional data. So when we're talking about big data, it's a step more complicated again. So it's messier. So we need to put that in perspective. As well, big data importance. I was reading a 2011 report from McKinsey Global Institute, and what they were saying here is that we have a shortage in big data and analytics. So a lot of companies would have a lot of insights out of that type of trend right now. It's an important one because now companies are realizing that their transactional data brings a lot of opportunity for them. So that report was saying that the estimates that 440 to almost 500,000 jobs will require deep analytical skills by 2018. So they're saying as well that another 4 million positions will require a less sophisticated understanding of data and analysis by 2018. So I think that there's a large gap between what the companies need to implement and the competencies that the own employee have right now. So they need to get it trained to know how we do big data and especially business analytics as well. So it is important, an important trend, and we will see later on why it is so important. And I was reading an article, a survey that was done in June 2014, and what they were saying again, it's that companies moderately and significantly will increase investment in analytics and big data in the near future. So as you can see on the graph, a lot of companies will increase investment into big data and especially into business analytics because it produces a lot of productivity increases, profitability out of your information systems. So we will check here into a strategic trend in big data. So it's not only, I think, kind of a new trend that will not be used in the near future. It will be used, and not only it will be used, but it will be used in a lot of industry. So as you see, telecommunication, services, computer software, healthcare, finance, education, manufacturing, government, retail, insurance. So you will see that big data and analytics will be useful for a lot of different industry. So it's not, we don't have to think that it only concerns bank, telecommunication, insurance. It concerns a lot of different industries. So if your company are not already implementing at least one big data business analytic projects, even though if you're not into the telecommunication or services sector, you will need to understand that it will be very important that you aggregate all of your transactional data so that you can utilize big data as a strategic tool into your business, so that you will be able to integrate that knowledge into all of the business units of your organization. We will see that later on. So big data brings a lot of applications. Management of customers' relationships is one of the most important one. Financial and marketing activities, supply chain management. So Walmart is using a lot of their supply chain management systems by implementing big data into their processes in order to lower their inventory, so that they can have a lower cost into their companies. So a lot of human resources planning, which employees are having the likelihood to get sick, whose employees would need training. So we can use big data to understand human resources planning things, pricing decisions. So it is important to have the right price in your product is an important aspect. We'll see market segmentation. So a lot of companies are using their transactional data to only understand their market structure very simply. But when you're using big data to be able to understand the market structure, you will understand how your customers behaved and how your market is structured. Very interesting. Target the right customers. Churn analysis. Reduce the customer defection is an important aspect. So retain your customers are an important aspect in big data. Sentiment analysis, what your customers are saying about your company on the social network. So Twitter is selling a lot of their analyzing a lot of their tweets, and are sending that to a lot of manufacturers like Apple. They are telling them, this is what your customers are saying about your pricing with your new iPhone, iPhone 6. So it's important to have, like we say, real time decision making. So now the technologies allows a lot of company to understand correctly what their customers are saying about their company. Fraud analysis, so to detect which customers are not behave correctly into your business, is very useful. In bank sector, insurance sector, telecommunication as well sector is very important to understand fraud analysis as well. So compete on big data leads to better financial performance. So a lot of people are telling me about why I should implement big data in our analytics in projects in our company, because it always pay. Doing big data, doing proper business analytics help you a lot producing profitability out of your business. See, so tangible benefits. Profitability of businesses are getting higher. Revenue of your businesses increases. Return on investment is producing a lot of higher return on investments by doing big data analysis. Of course, when you enhance the understanding of your data, you understand more correctly what your customers are telling you. You are able to capture the signals out of your data. So Marriott International in the hotel industry can predict correctly highest prices that will lead to full occupancy for their customers. So they will make more money out of analyzing their transactional data. See, so it's how can we change your organization by doing big data? Is by showing them better profitability, better cost control, increase in revenues, better services, implementation services and product. So analyzing transactional data, or all of your data in your company, brings a lot of higher return on in investment in your company. So we will see some example in that training that should convince you that it is important to do. See, so when we're working about big data, we're talking about big data culture. So the main idea here is to focus on a fact-based decision-making culture. So the main idea is it's not taking decisions only on guts and feeling. It is, of course, important, but sometimes it can be dangerous by focusing only on guts and feeling. So we need to have that fast-paced decision-making culture, that organization will be able to have, like we say, a strategic bet on big, excuse me, I have a typo here, error, big database competition. So I don't have anything against benchmarking, anything against following what our competitors are doing, but the goal is to create your own identity. When you implement big data culture, by analyzing all of your data, you're taking the signals out of your market, so that you will create a distinctive capability, so that we will see later on, that we have some, I should say, component of an effective big data strategy. But uniqueness is important. You need to focus correctly on the right data so that you will be able to spread the knowledge to the enterprise wide. So if you can prove that your big data project produce a higher profitability, which is not easy but feasible, you would be able to convince your executive. So executive commitment is one of the most important aspects in every data culture project. See, so if you don't have the executive commitment, you need to have it. You need to find it, and we will see in that training, two ways of having the right executive commitment. So you have a short one and you have an accelerate path to gain the executive commitment, which is very, very important, fundamental. If you don't have any executive commitment toward big data and business analytics project into your company, you will have some tough time to integrate that big data into the enterprise-wide company. Okay, so becoming a big data competitor, we will see some path that will help you out understand how we can become a big data competitor. So one of the best books I read on the big data system is Competing on Analytics of 2006 from Thomas H. Davenport. He recently introduced a new book which called Big Data at Work. So I encourage you to read that type of book, which is very, very interesting. And what he was saying, was saying that we have around 5 stages to disseminate big data into your company. So the first stage is to be analytically impaired. It's like a baby stage. You're producing, not a lot of strategic information out of your system. You're trying to convince people that transactional data analysis and big data should be interesting to implement. So it's more of the first stage, which is not very well structured. When you're beginning to convince people, you will go to the stage 2, which is localized analytics. So usually in that stage, you will have some business big data project into the business units. So it's not widespread. But you're becoming to go through the analytical aspirations. Analytical aspirations is that you already convince your executives as a manager. So if you convince them, usually you can structure your own team, your own big data team, your own information system team, so that you will work standalone. We will see that later on, but you will work standalone. You will have your own unit of producing data analysis, but you will be able to spread the knowledge into different business units, which is the analytical companies. Analytical companies are like IBM, Harris Casinos. They analyze all of their data into real-time analytics. And a lot of analytical companies are working big data with cloud computing as well. So it's not as the costs are very lower now by doing big data and business analytics. So you can buy solutions. We will see some solutions later on, but you can buy solutions, with $20,000 per license per year pretty easily. So it's not, I should say, for analytical companies, the challenge is not technology. It's not there. The challenge is about changing people by using big data and analytics to become big data competitors. So this is what we will see in that training. So the goal is, if you are a localized analytics, is to go through analytical aspirations, to go up to the stages, so that you will be able to integrate big data as an asset into your company, so that you will create all of the leverage you need for your company. Okay, so the key components of an effective big data strategy. See, so first of all, the main idea is to create your own identity. So it's to take your data and translate signals from your market that you will capture into your internal business processes. So that you will capture what your customers, what the people are saying about your company, and you will translate these data into information. This is what we will see later on too. So when you're analyzing your own data, it's hard to duplicate. When you're doing benchmarking, when you're doing monitor your industry, which is fundamental, it's not big data. It's not real big data because it's easy to copy a competitor by their practices. If you're doing a lot of benchmarking, it's easy to understand what they are doing. So by doing that, by copying your competitors, you will not create your own identity. So by doing that, by doing the right big data and analytical processes, it will be hard for your competitors to duplicate that. It will be hard to copy. So you will behave in such a way that you will be unique. You will be what you should be. So big data is adaptable to many situations. So it depends of the goal of your analysis. What do you want to do with your data is an important question. So when we are using big data, we will do some exercise that help you out focus on the right big data project. Which big data project, analytic projects would create the better profitability for your company? Where can you gain a lot of performance by using big data? This is what we will do in that training. See, so the idea is to, when you create your own identity, you will be better than the competition. You will act more accurately, rapidly. You will introduce more rapidly what you should do into your business, into your market. So you will have time to market product and services. You will increase the reaction of your product and service introduction into the market, so you can beat the competition by doing that. And big data is renewable, so it's a continuous process. It's an ongoing process, especially when you're going right through the number three stage, 4 stage. You're going to be better by doing that. So this is what we will see into the organization. So first, I think the capabilities, the key elements are more of an organization need. A clear big data strategy focus in the first place is important. So this is what we will do when we will work within that training. It's to focus on the right big data project, so that you will have the executive support that you need to do that. See, so when you're working in a culture, leadership, big data implementation, and analytical analysis, you will need to change how people are doing their job. And you know that this is very challenging. See, so telling people to do things differently, it's not an easy task. But if you can prove them that big data and analytics is profitable for your company, it will be easier to change the way they do. Technology, of course, is important. So you have a lot of technologies that are available right now, such as Hadoop. Hadoop helps you getting organized into your big data project. So Hadoop is more of a tool that you will need to structure the unstructured data. So it will make sense out of your data. So a great example of technology usage is the NASCAR in the auto racing industry. They seen that people were using a lot of the social network when it was raining. So they analyze with Hadoop all of the data that the people were saying when it was running into their websites and into their social network, Facebook and Twitter, and they took these data and they understood that people need to be entertained when it was raining. So they organize, when it was raining, they implemented new processes, they organize sessions with second and third pilots. Not the first one, he has to be in the dock and to be prepared when it will stop raining, but they organized kind of a fan session with pilots. So you see that Hadoop MapReduce technologies can be useful to verify the data quality and to use these technologies in order to better to adjust the way your company is doing their business. This is what is all about by using big data. So in that training, we will talk about a lot of big data value proposition. So first of all, we will talk about how do you create big data um, profitability. So we say it's about value creation. First step is the value creation. You need to create value by using big data, by framing the problem or situation correctly, by targeting the right big data analytics project. You will, of course, create a value out of your project. So the information, when you have a lot of data, which information you will need to prioritize? You have a lot of data. Big data, it's a lot about a lot of data. So what is the goal of your project? You need to find the strategy first. Is it you will work on satisfaction, customer satisfaction? You will work on loyalty to your customers? You will work on cost efficiency? You will work on target customers? What is the goal of your project is a very important question. So you will need to frame that. We will see some tools in order that you will create value out of your big data value proposition. And after that, you will need to understand that you need to capture the value that you created. So value captured it's a lot about creating better business processes. So we will define what business processes is all about. See? But the main idea with value captured is to correctly implement a successful big data project and ideally a successful big data culture. See, so as an example, Walmart, what did they do? They implement sensors into their trucks fleet so that they will be able to optimize the routes. So they will change the way trucks driver operate the trucks. Where do they stop? How many times they stop? So that they will be able to save a lot of money out of their trucks fleet usage. You see, so this type of example gives you the idea that big data can be very, very strategically important in a business. So when you're doing big data, you will trying to find a way to change how people operate, how you can target new customers. So big data, it's all about data usage. So first of all, you have raw data, you have brute facts. It's a messy environment. So you need technology, Hadoop, MapReduce. We will see some other vendors that are using very nicely big data. But you need to organize these raw data as an input and transform these data into information. So you need technology, you need not only technology, but people skill set to process, to model the data so that you will be able to change how the company is doing business, so that you will create knowledge. So the output is the strategy. The output is what do you do with your data? What action you will propose to your customers? What action you will do that will inevitably increase revenue, lower your cost. So this is the cycle that we will see in depth in that training. So the main idea by doing big data is to create what we say lead information. So lag information, it's not about monitoring, follow what your competitors is doing, how many customers we have per region. So it's more basic type of information. But big data analytics is all about lead information. Lead information, as you see the slope here, creates a better performance into the way you're doing business. It has a higher impact on your company's performance. So we will see the characteristic of lead information. I will show you some examples of how we create that lead information, that insights that you need to have in order to being more profitable. So the idea is not it's a lot of working on the business side. It's to provide strategy out of it. So the data are of course stored into some information technology infrastructure, information systems, data warehouse. This is not the challenge. The data is there. See, but you need to transform this data to have a team that will be responsible to provide information. Do we have that team? Is that team is localized, is well structured, well trained? This is what you need to do, so that you will create a strategy. So that will create, like we say, the receiver of information, which is the business side. So we're doing a lot of big data because of the business that we need to do with it. See, so how to become a big data competitor, a big data analytics company. This is the goals. See, this is the goal. So the idea is to change how people work. So if you can implement a big data project, a business analytics project, you will certainly create what we call a lead information. You will create insight information. So this insight should help you prioritize activities. You will do things differently. You will be able to target better your customers. You will be able to increase your time to market of your product and services, so that you could execute your activities more accurately. So if you can execute activities correctly, let's say that you will give an incentive to your customers, you will certainly be able to produce more profitability out of your information systems. So if you do that correctly, it would afterward you will have to monitor if that change into your company creates the performance that you think you reached out of it. So you reach your objective. So you need to follow if that new business process is produced the impact that you think it should create. So you will monitor it, you know. But the idea is to trying to identify lead information. This is what we will see into that training, to create that focus that you need to develop and control a new business processes. So like I said, there's a lot of things that you can do out of this. So it depends on your company. If you are in manufacturing, product innovation is important. Even though if you are in the services industry, product innovation, service innovation is important. Customer intimacy with CRM. So a lot of time we are using CRM to verify where are the opportunity into our market, but do we use CRM more strategically in order that we can target more of our customers correctly? See, operational excellence, the supply chain management, you know, with Walmart, when they can lower their inventory as possible so that they can put a low cost strategy into their market is an important aspect. So we will see in that training that big data can be very productive. So you know that ROI, you have two sides, and you have the one side is the margin. So what I'm seeing a lot of company margins are going lower, restrained, compressed. Margin, because competitors copying other competitors. By doing that, the margins are going lower and lower in the time frame. And times productivity. The productivity in your ROI, this is what we will see by using better big data, you will be able to gain better productivity out of your company. This is what we will see into the that training. So to work on margin is one thing, but to work on productivity into your company by implementing right products, targeting the right customers, you will gain a lot of performance, positive performance out of that. So a lot of application, again, that can be useful when you use big data. You see, so we will see some big data tools and big data methods. As for me, I'm more of an IBM analytic expert. So I'm using a lot of the IBM tools, which is one of the leaders into big data and analytics actually. And this is the Magic Quadrant that Gartner used recently, February 2014, to position which vendors are the leaders into big data and analytics. So Modeler is one, IBM Modeler tools is one of the right tools to use when you're doing analytics and big data. Enterprise Miner with SAS. So SAS Enterprise Miner is costly. It can cost about 200,000 to implement in a mainframe SAS, and about 25,000 per license usage when you're using SAS. IBM is more cheaper. So depending on where you are on the 5 stages model of the Davenport, if you're beginning to use big data, I would recommend you to use small project, better targeted project with IBM tools is a nice way to start big data. So you need to have the right technology. Specifically, Hadoop, like I said, and MapReduce will help you out working more on the unstructured data, which is all about big data. And IBM and SAS has a lot of tools too that will help you out working on unstructured and structured data as well. So my advice would be to work first on structured data, work first on business analytics. When you can use business analytics correctly, you will be able to integrate big data, unstructured data analysis afterward. So we will see in that training methods that we call the CRISP DM methodology. So I will not go very technically on that, but this is the method that I'm using when I'm implementing big data and business analytics project. First of all, business understanding, know well your business. After that, business understanding, know your data, which data you will need to extract out of your information systems that you will be able to prepare, verify the quality of the data, eliminate redundancy into your data, so that you will produce the modeling, so that you will transform the brute fact data into statistical rightful model that will help you out afterward to evaluate which model is the best that you produced, that will help you predict the change of your market, the behavior of your customers, the target customers you need to have, so that you will be able to deploy the model that you produce into the information systems that you will produce the right action that you need to have towards your customers, your employee, that will increase the profitability. So this is a wide, I should say, methodology, well-used methodology that I'm using in let's say the last 20 years pretty correctly. So when you're using that methodology, you will, like I said, use segmentation, a lot of cross-selling techniques. So you will be able to increase sales from one product or service to another one by using another one. You will use a lot of text mining, video, social media analysis, a lot of unstructured data type of text mining analysis. You can produce a lot of scoring and profiling of your customers. So determine the right customers to target. Which customers produce the highest value into your companies? What type of offers you can give to each of your customers within each of your profiles you identified into your company? Very important. So retain some of the customers that you don't want to lose. Some of your customers, which are they? Accelerate time to market a new product and service development to avoid product and service failure. So you see that big data tools might be very useful. So we will see into that training how to manage big data culture as well. So not only we will see how to create high value big data project, how you can implement these projects into your internal business processes, so change how people are working so that you will be able to have better profitability out of big data. But you need to have kind of an analytical executive commitment. So the managers, the executives must be big believers in big data. I was reading a book, and Phil Knight, the founder and the chairman of Nike, is more of an intuition and guts manager, a feeling manager. So when he hires William Perez to Nike from SC Johnson and Son company, Perez was not able to convince Knight to adopt a fact-based decision-making culture within Nike. So Perez didn't last long. He was fired within a year. So you see, so can you imagine how a manager is trying to convince a senior one about that type of cultural change? It's highly, I should say, challenging. So the best way, again, to be sure that you can convince others is to be sure that you implement the right tools, focus on the right questions, implement the right tools, and show your executives as manager that your big data project, analytic projects create a lot of value. So act on results of your analysis. See, so if you can do that, you will be able to I think, implement the right business processes. So what department do you reside in when you're doing, again, a lot of business analytics? Some people come from the IT department. They are the data gather people into your business. These persons are very important. They need to be convinced as well that not only gathering data is important, but taking information out of these data is important. So a lot of marketing people should be involved into big data and analytics, as you can see on the Lavastorm analytics survey. You see, so a lot of business research processes need to be involved. Services department, operation, finance, sales. So as you can see, big data concerns a wide variety of departments. So depending on the type of project you need to implement, you will work a lot into different business units. So if you want to disseminate, democratize big data and analytics into your project, you need to implement several big data projects into different business units as a company. You see, so you will have to implement as well the right big data structured. So how you will organize your company if you want to implement a fact-based decision-making culture into your business, is important. So we will see on that training that you have a centralized and a decentralized approach. So a centralized structured is when you have a head of analytics. This is the best way. If you can produce, if your goal is to have a distinctive units that concern analytics and big data, is the best way. Of course, it's more costly. You need to convince your executives that, as manager, that producing a big data and analytical analysis is important to your company. But when you can do that, you can create your own structured data. And after that, you have this decentralized structure where the head of analytics, composed of senior analysts, junior analysts, are able to work into that centralized structure, but as well into the business units. So you will be able to find project into the manufacturing sector, into production. You will be able to find project into marketing, sales, finance, engineering, so that you will support the staff that would be willing to use big data and analytics into your company. So we will talk a lot about the type of structure you need to implement so that you will create better performance out of your data. And as well, we will talk about select the appropriate big data team members. Not only select, but evaluate correctly your personnel. So usually the team members should have a master's degree, whether it is in marketing, finance, mathematics. We see a lot of physicians as well that has a lot of education into business analytics. So your employee should know the industry correctly. They must be analytically minded people. They must have at least 10 years of data analysis, data management experience. Excellent written and oral communication skills, because especially if you have a hybrid structure, your employee will work a lot with different business units. So you need to be able to convince other that big data can be useful into your organization. So, and they are willing to stay within your organization for at least 4 years. Why? Because it costs a lot of money to train that type of big data and analytics individual. So you need to be sure that they will stay to your company, so that you have a reward to retain them for a longer period of time. And the skills need in a big data team, business skills. This is important. Business, it's all about business, as now you understand. It's not only technology, it's not only information technology skills, which is important. Doing a lot of database management processes is important. How to manipulate data is important. How to produce model, how to analyze data is important. But how to integrate the data, the analytic skills into a more of a strategy into the business, so what we call a business skills, is important. Big data and analytics is all about problem solving techniques. So this is what we will see into that training. So we'll see we'll see some tools, some methods that help you identify where the leverage is on your data usage. This is where it is the most important aspect of the business skills that your team, big data team members has to have into your organization. So select the right person, motivate the right person, evaluate the right person is as well very important. So we will see, I call that the matrix approach. We will see a lot of cross-training technique So when you see that one of your employees lacking some communication skills, you will need to have some some cross training technique that you will need to have. We will see some example how we do that. We will see how we spread the role of the head of the analytics between his team so that you can manage correctly your big data team. So my last advice would be to be sure that you monitor all of your big data analytics project, measure all of the profitability that your business analytics and big data project can do for you. So it is important because at the end of the year, if we will see some tools that help you out doing that, it will be better to have a better position internally into creating a new centralized structured approach or working better in existing one. So this is what I think I had to say. I tried to respect the time that I had. So Dave, is my time is correctly managed or now? Okay, great. So now I think we have maybe a 5 minutes, like we said, question and answer approach. So if everyone want to share some of their experience or of, some questions that they would need to ask, feel free. No problem. We are there. We are there to help. Okay, so um, how do you get big data to predict the the future? This is a good question. You know, SP is asking that. Um, Predict the future. It's not easy. Eh? We are living in an unstable environment. So big data must be used, I think, to more first work more on big data on a short period of time. Showing profitability in a short period of time is, I think, is better. It's tough to predict the future. You a lot of companies, you don't control the external factor element in your industry. So, but you can control your own business processes. So I think that we should ask ourselves, can we use big data to predict a short time future? Is should be better. I think it should be better. So there's a lot of things that we can do with big data, but you need to find a short-term project that will demonstrate the viability of big data. I think that, you know, predict the future in a long time period, it's tough, but you can do some forecasting. So I did some exponential smoothing technique that can help predict future sales by using sales data into your business. So we can predict for at least, let's say, 3 months of yearly sales as well. But work more on specific project would be better. So we're saying, so near future is predictable, but far future isn't. And I think it's tougher to predict far future. Too much uncertainty, too much uncertainty. So work more on specific project would be, I think, a better advice. Yes, I would agree. I would agree with that. Yeah. Yeah. So SP ask again, how does a telco use big data to make CX better? Um, I think again, uh, I think that if you can show uh, that using data brings better productivity out of the way people are actually working into your company is should be I think the right the right trend in order to have better CX out of your business. Okay. Um, Okay, Derek is asking, how frustrating is it for big data analysts when there is no executive buy-in? Wow, this is this is a practical question that we we are we see a lot of time. Um, it's true. That was I was saying. When you don't have executive support, implementing big data project is tougher. So I think that you know my advice on that would be to, and this is what we will see in that training. It would be to try to help people focused on the right project that you can see a lot of leverage by doing that. So if you can show them that that the project can produce a lot of profitability out of it, I think it could be more interesting to executive to follow your idea. But yes, it's true. It's tough to buy to buying that. It's suicide. That's a good one. So um, actually, is there a cheap way to enter the idea of big data into an executive's mind? The cheap way, yes. I think that the cheap way is, to the first thing first. It would be to contact vendors so that you can have free license usage. So I did that with a company. So they had a lot of budget issues. So what we did, I asked the vendor if I can show the client that we can produce a lot of profitability out of your data. Can we use a free license? Can you give us a license for, let's say, 3 months or 6 months? And usually vendors, Modeler, IBM, SAS, Salford Systems, they are willing to do that. So that you can have a lot of free expertise from the vendor's part, so that you can produce a low cost project. So if you know that you can find a project that help you out doing a lot of profitability, you can use free licensings for a while from vendors. It will give you a lot of of this um, of this processes. Yes. Okay, thank you. Thanks, Peter. Thanks for a useful webinar. So thanks for Christina as well. Thank you.